So just don't call somebody ugly, okay? Because that's not a very nice thing to say. Okay, so let's look at weight and build. Okay, so first of all, we're going to look at females. And a female is slim, usually, and we can call a man slim as well. And we have a Russian word here, and they've written neat, but I'm not sure if it really means neat or not, because neat is when you're tidy and you keep your house neat and your desk neat and all that. So you can be neat looking. In other words, your clothing look neat, and your hair is perfect and everything. Okay. Um, you might say, but there might be another word for that, and I'm not really sure what it is, but it might be proper because she looks very proper to me by the way she's sitting with her feet close together and her knees close together, and just she looks rather proper to me. Okay, yeah, neat looking, proper. You might also use sophisticated instead of neat, maybe sophisticated, because I don't really know what that Russian word means to translate it. So I'm trying to find some other words. Another word for sophisticated is refined. If you're refined, you're really educated, you have good manners, you dress properly, so she's proper looking, okay? Or it might mean elegant or charming. I'm not sure what that word means, but here are some other words to describe this woman. Okay? Now, if a woman is small, you can call her petite. Okay, she's a petite woman. It's a French word, petite, and pronounced in kind of a French way. Okay? So let's look at men now and how you might describe a man. You can call him slim, but you can also call him slender. And you can call a woman slender as well. Okay, it wouldn't matter. Maybe in Britain, I know that you learn British English, but in America, you can call a man or a woman slim or slender. You can also, but a man, we never use lean for a female. That's for a man only. A man is lean, and we also have the word lanky. This is when you're extremely tall and thin, and you're towering over everyone. So you might say that someone is towering like a tower, if you know what a tower is. So a person can be towering, okay? So that's a good word as well, towering. And just like a woman can be thin as well, and a man can be thin as well, okay? So different words to describe your weight and your build, okay? So here are some more. So here's a rather large man. Okay, so we're going to have some words that mean the most common way to call someone fat is the other word that you should never call someone fat. Okay, it's very insulting. So never call someone fat. Okay, you're going to call them overweight. Okay, or you might call them plump. Plump is just a little bit fat, okay? Just a little bit, maybe 5-10 pounds or something, okay? Whereas overweight, you're getting pretty big. And if you're on the short side and you're not really fat, but you're a little bit overweight and short, then you're stout or stocky, okay? And yes, this is Alfred Hitchcock, and he was a stocky man, a stout or a stocky man. He was a little bit short and overweight. Okay, so he's stout or stocky. Okay, now does anybody know what it's kind of it's a medical condition, but when somebody is really big, really tall, they're very large. Not fat, just really large. Do you know what they're called? Does anybody know what they're called? Okay, a giant. Very good, Sergi. Okay, they're called a giant. And if someone is really small, do you know what they're called? You know, they have those little legs. You see people like this. It's a medical condition. Don't make fun of them. They were born that way. A dwarf. Now, we used to call them dwarves, or a dwarf, but they don't like that name anymore. So now you're going to call them a midget. Okay, a midget. Okay, a midget. But you can call them a midget or a dwarf is okay. Okay, so a dwarf or a midget. Okay, so those might be words that you might use. Giant's the easier one to remember, right? Because it simply means big. It was a giant meal. You can use it even to describe anything big, giant, okay? So mix your words up when you're using these, okay? But these ones are, the ones we're learning are mostly strictly for people today, but you can use them for other things as well. So let's look at men again. And here's what we call an Adonis, a very handsome, perfectly built man. And we would say that he's muscular, or we might say that he's simply strong. But we wouldn't really say someone doesn't have to look muscular to be strong, because I know some people who are very strong, but they don't look muscular. So you might just note the difference, okay? So you might, if they're muscular, they have muscles, they are muscular, therefore they are strong, but somebody doesn't necessarily have to be muscular to be strong. You might call them athletic, when somebody looks like an athlete. Okay, so the noun is an athlete. Someone who plays sports is an athlete. So you might call them athletic looking. Okay, or someone who just looks normal, has a medium build. Okay, a medium build. Okay, also if a man is small, sometimes we call them slight when they're small. I just thought of that word now. Okay, so that's another one. So there are lots of choices in words to describe even just your height and your build. Okay, some more. Okay, so we've got short, so a midget or a dwarf is short. We've got tall, and if you're extremely tall, you're a giant. Or you might just be medium or average height. Okay, so medium or average, which is obviously what most people are, medium or average height. And your height depends on the country you're in as well, because when I was in Japan and China, I was considered very tall, extremely tall. But I'm just a medium height. I'm just slightly tall, but there I was like a giant almost compared to Chinese and Japanese people. And when I went into the stores, I'm actually a small size. My clothing, happy to say, I didn't gain any weight. So I'm still the same size as I was when I was a teenager. So I'm a small size, but I had to wear what's called XXL, which stands for extra, extra large, almost the biggest size. And in Japan, I couldn't buy shoes. I went to buy some running shoes or sneakers, and I had to buy ones for like big boys or small men's, because they didn't have shoes to fit me. So that's kind of an interesting story too. So everything is a comparison where you are. So now we're going to look at a picture and we're going to describe this woman. Okay, so I first of all want you to give me some words to describe her weight. Okay, can you use some words to describe her weight? She's slim. Very good, Maria. She lives in New Zealand. She feels okay, Milky. Okay, so they're tall in New Zealand, and I bet they are. I lived in Australia, and they're tall there. So, Yana, you're going to have to change to Russian because although I did learn how to read it, I can't translate it. Elena, in the English, we'd pronounce her name Elena, which is a pretty name, but you might be Elena. I'm not sure. Elena, same as Irina, Alina, maybe like that. Okay. She is slim. Okay. She's petite is a good description of her. She looks rather small. She looks charming. Okay. That's not her weight or anything. She's slim or slender or thin. Okay. And what about her build? She is a ballet dancer. That's right, Sergi. So they're all slim. They're usually tall, but maybe not always. Medium build at least. They're hardly ever short ballerinas because I think that when you're tall, you look more graceful, which is important to be more graceful looking. So you can look graceful. Okay. She's probably medium height. Good. Good. Now, do you have a word to describe her overall? Do you have a word that maybe would describe when you look at her, what do you think? Is she beautiful? A bit, I think she is. She's at least pretty. She's pretty, which is not quite beautiful. If somebody says you're pretty, that's a wonderful compliment. But beautiful is like, whoa, she's quite nice, okay? She's a sophisticated lady. I'd say that. Okay, good. Good. Okay. So you might say that to me, she looks charming. Okay, she looks charming. And men and women can be charming. Okay, you might look that word up. It's a good one, charming. Okay. She looks elegant, elegant to me. Okay. She looks quite elegant or charming. Okay. Okay, good. So let's try another one. See what we have here. Okay, so we're not going to call him fat. So what are we going to call him? He's not fat. Okay, he's obese. We can call him obese. And you don't want to call someone obese either to their face. You wouldn't talk about someone's weight if they were overweight anyway to their face. You would never say anything about their weight, you know. He is overweight. Good. He looks happy. See, you can be happy even though you're overweight. Okay. Of course. Okay, so he looks happy. So in some cultures, it's okay to be overweight in some cultures, but it is a health problem. So obese, okay, good. So those are all good words to describe. What about his height? Looks, he's a really large, smiling, nice man. Good, very good. But maybe he is strong. Good. Has a compulsive disorder. Okay. This means a compulsive disorder means that you have to keep doing something, and some people it's fidgeting with their fingers or pulling on their hair. They're always doing this or they're always tidying things up all the time. That's a really common one. Or for him, it would be eating. Could be a compulsive disorder. Could be a medical condition. He keeps eating. That's right. He can't stop eating. He's compulsive. Okay, and he has a disorder. A disorder is like an illness. But it's it has to do with your behavior. So it's a behavioral, your behavioral illness. Okay, has to do with your behavior. He is quite tall. Okay, and that's spelt quite. Okay, you've got him quiet. Okay, so it's quiet. Okay. Maybe he is a giant. We don't know. He could be. We don't know because there's nothing else in the picture to show his size. This is to remind you I'm a photographer. If you want to show the size of something, always put something else in the picture to show the size. Otherwise, you have no idea if something's big or small or tall or short. That has to do with anything in your picture. If you want to show that something's really big in your picture, make sure there's something to compare it with in your picture. He looks like a big fat DiCaprio. Okay, we're not going to call him big and fat, okay, because that's insulting, Sergey. So he looks like a bigger, how about a bigger Leonardo DiCaprio? Okay.